opinion. If you missed any of last week's shows, you can still catch them online. Facebook, Nigeria Info FM, Twitter, Nigeria Info FM, YouTube, Nigeria Info FM as well. If you missed the conversation we had yesterday with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, it's on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm talking about Ajuri Ngelale. You can catch it on Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. If you're hearing my voice a bit cracked, it's because of that weekend that I told you about. I had quite the weekend. My goodness. Friday started with a nominees party for the nominees of this year's Future Awards Africa. Remember, I told you that for this year's Future Awards Africa, I was nominated On-Air Personality of the Year in the whole of Africa. It's amazing. There's 4 other people in my category, and we're all hoping that we win. It's not a voting category because there are judges who will sit down and assess our work, and if they think my work is the best work, the most standout work for the year, they're going to give me the award. So I hope that I get it. Fingers crossed. So anyways, I went from the nominees party on Friday to host the after party for Wimbiz that same Friday. So I spent Friday night having a party where I was the MC. So it meant that I had to make sure everybody was having a good time, right? Yeah. And then early Saturday morning, I went to MC a wedding where I also had to make sure everybody was having a good time. Yeah, all of that would take a toll on your voice, and that's why my voice is sounding a bit cracked. But I'm taking medication, and it's going to get better. Now, I have a great show for you today. The Senate debates a bill to make hate speech a new crime and create an agency to fight it. That's one of the stories that we are starting with on the Big Three today. Senate also condemns the ban of petrol sales near the border. And graduate is shot by robbers as he drives a cab. I'll tell you more about that. On Community U Report today, we're going to be looking at the growing number of cases of conflicts between domestic staff and their employers. If you are a domestic staff, today is a good day to call into Hard Facts. This is a big issue that should concern everybody because we all either have domestic staff, or we know somebody who has domestic staff, or we know somebody who is a domestic worker. So let's have that conversation at 4 on Community U Report. On the Big Hard Fact, we're looking at insurance. We've mentioned insurance a lot on Hard Facts recently due to all of the fires. So today we're having an industry expert in the studio to educate all of us about the current state of affairs in the industry, and also take your questions if you have any. And then I'll hand you over to Rufai Useni, and you can have conversations with Rufai at 6:15 after the news. As usual, throughout the show, we're bringing you the latest updates from the world of news, sports, and entertainment. But let's get started off with the Big Three.
This is the Big Three.
The Big Three
on Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
You know what to expect on the Big Three, stories that everyone is talking about right now. Do we need a new agency to enforce hate speech laws? Is the ban on petrol sales within 20 kilometers of the border helping or harming the economy? And what's the solution to the rise of violent crime in Lagos? Let's get into these stories, shall we? We're streaming on Facebook. Let me remind you, Facebook and YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. We may not have time to take as many calls as we would like because we have Rally Academy taking the show over from 3:45. So let's start sending the comments in quickly via Facebook and WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. Our first story: the Senate is debating a bill that defines hate speech as a crime and establishes a new government agency to prosecute it. The bill is titled National Commission for the Prohibition of Hate Speeches Bill. It's sponsored by Deputy Senate Whip Sabi Abdullahi. The bill defines hate speech as when a person, quote, uses, publishes, presents, produces, plays, provides, distributes, and or directs the performance of any material, written and or visual, which is threatening, abusive, or insulting, or involves the use of threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior, commits an offense if such a person intends thereby to stir up ethnic hatred or having regard to all the circumstances ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up against any person or persons from such an ethnic group in Nigeria. End of quote. The bill demands that anyone who harasses, humiliates, or threatens someone else based on ethnicity would face 5 years in prison or a 10 million naira fine or both. And finally, the bill calls for the creation of a national commission for the prohibition of hate speeches to enforce the law, to prosecute offenders, and to ensure that institutions and organizations do not discriminate on the basis of ethnicity. So again, start sharing your thoughts on that story via Facebook and YouTube or Twitter, Nigeria Info FM. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3, YouTube and Twitter, Nigeria Info FM. Already the debate is raging. Now, most reasonable Nigerians agree that hate speech is a problem. We know that there are people who want to use tribe and ethnicity as a weapon to divide Nigerians. We've known even before I was born that tribalism is a problem. So the question now is this bill the solution? So the bill calls for the creation of a brand new agency to enforce the new hate speech law. And people are asking, is that not the job of the police? The objection that I am hearing is that it is a waste of money to have a new agency for every new crime. If this is a crime, let the police fight it. Then some other critics of the bill say it doesn't go far enough. They say ethnic hate speech isn't the only hate speech. There's also gender-based hate speech. There's political hate speech. There's religious hate speech. So why stop at ethnic? And another note that I've been seeing about this bill is from lawmakers who are asking if there's even any need for a new law since incitement is already a crime. Some say it should never be a crime to insult anybody, no matter how terrible the insult. And this is an argument that even the Western world is having. So, for example, Germany has laws against hate speech, but the USA does not because they believe that it would impede free speech. So what do you think? Do you think we need to make hate speech a special crime? Do we need a new agency to fight that crime? Where do you think the line between free speech and hate speech should be drawn? 01277-0993, 01277-1993, 01277-2993, and 01277-3993. We'll take a quick break, come back and take your calls, your messages via Facebook and WhatsApp as well. Facebook again is Nigeria Info 99.3. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
is the Big Three.
The Big Three on Hard Facts
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Today on the Big Three, we told you that the Senate debated a bill to make hate speech a new crime and create an agency to fight it. And I wonder what you think about that. Do you think we need to make hate speech a special crime? Do we need a new agency to fight that crime? Where do you think the line between free speech and hate speech should be drawn? Because, for example, Germany has laws against hate speech, but the USA does not because they believe that it would impede free speech. 012770993, 012771993, 2993, and 3993. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. I want your thoughts via Facebook as well. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. The Federal House of Representatives has asked the Nigeria Customs Service to lift the ban on sale of petrol within 20 kilometers of the border. The motion was moved by Honorable Sadi Soli, who claimed that the ban by customs violated the Customs Act. Soli and other lawmakers also criticized the ban for lacking consideration for the plight of Nigerians living and working close to the border. The Customs Service ordered the ban last week as part of the border closure plan. It's meant to impede the diversion of cheap Nigerian subsidized fuel intended for the market into neighboring countries. So the National Assembly is weighing in. They're weighing in. And the lawmakers appear to be accusing customs of not having the legal right to stop these stations from operating. By mentioning the Customs Act, which is the law that gives the Customs Service all its powers, the reps are saying Customs has overstepped the powers that were spelled out for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how Customs responds to this. And then the reps did not talk only about legality. They also talked about humanity. They accused Customs of not implementing the policy with a human face. The Punch is reporting that essential services in border towns like hospitals are not able to turn on their generators because of the policy, especially the suddenness of it. There have also been reports of businesses being unable to operate because of no fuel for generators or cars. Then there's the issue of the filling stations themselves, and you have these reports that quote filling station owners along the border as saying, we aren't the ones smuggling fuel. The fuel was coming from deeper inside Nigeria in trucks. And they're saying that the same security agents who have now shut down their stations were the ones collecting bribes from those trucks to let them across the border. So basically, the filling stations are saying that they're being scapegoated. And Adrin Gilale was on the show yesterday, the president's SSA on public affairs, and he was making those inconvenienced by the petrol sale ban. He was asking them to please endure that it was temporary. So the question becomes, how long is temporary? What do you think about this ban on petrol sales within 20 kilometers of the border? Do you think it's legal? Are you a lawyer listening to the show? Do you think it's necessary or unnecessary? What do you think about the House of Reps and what they said? What do you think should happen next? Let me talk to Mr. Darlington. Hello, Mr. Darlington. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Sandra. How are you?
Very well. Good afternoon.
And how was the holiday, even though you were at work?
Short.
It's okay. It is illegal.
Are you a lawyer?
The Custom Act did not say you should discriminate against persons living in any part of the country. That is discrimination at the highest. You cannot shut out these people because you want to implement one obnoxious policy. You have forgotten that there are people there who are living legitimately. As a matter of fact, the law says that it is better to allow 99 criminals to go free than to punish one innocent human being. Do you get that? So based on that, why would they not believe that everybody living across along our border area is involved in fuel racketeering, and so they must be punished? How? As I speak to you now, the telecoms they are threatening to shut down over there, and this is a security risk. Anything could happen from there, and you don't have communication. So when they are doing this policy, somebody should sit down and think, for God's sake. This is not how things are done. All these Gestapo arrangements to show us that somebody is doing something, has it worked? You have been using this system since over going to 5 years now. It has not worked. So why can't you sit down and devise an intellectual means of doing things in this 21st century? You are saying it's temporary. Okay, by the time you resume, what will be the end result? What will you have achieved? Nothing. You go back to square one because nothing was done in the first place.
Mr. Darlington, let me talk to Sheun Mohammed in Aghogho. Hello, Sheun. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, great to have you on the show, sir. Thank you for calling.
And I'm your great listener. I like to listen to you.
Thank you.
Time. Okay, no problem. Straight to the word. I did not agree with the lawmakers about the hate speech.
Okay.
Yeah, and why I did not agree, hate speech, their definition, I did not agree with that definition.
Okay.
My own definition, hate speech should be a word that one person cannot defend, and that word can damage one's reputation. Okay. That is just hate speech to me.
Okay.
But coming to say about religion, about ethnic, about this, I think they themselves did not know the definition of hate speech.
I see. Okay.
So,
all right, Sheun. Thanks for calling, and make sure you call us again. Sunday is in Ogun State. Hello, Sunday.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. My name is Sandra from Sunday from Ogun State. Actually,
yes, go ahead.
If Nigeria government stopping booting something around the bush, let them come out for the what they actually call it hate speech. It's their first people to make the hate speech. Let us give the thing. After all, we have the freedom of speech in Nigeria. That's my one.
All right, Sunday. Our last call is from Titus, and then we'll move on to our final story. Titus, hi. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's Sandra.
This is Sandra now. Go ahead.
Sandra, Kekon.
Odima.
So what we are trying to say, I want to talk about the freight problem and the 20 kilometers from the border.
Okay.
You see, this country is going backward every day. Every minute we are going backward. We have custom people that know about the custom, officer that know about custom. They brought somebody that is a soldier that does not know anything, diplomatic relationship with other countries. All he was trained to how to kill and the people. Now they make him the Controller General of Customs of Nigeria. And since that man entered Controller General, he had been making things difficult for people. Nigeria have not been so worse in terms of smuggling than what we're having today. Even then, they say they're fighting smugglers. The man intimidating people here and there, here and there. Fuel, if you want to stop fuel smuggling, it's not the way, it is not by going to the border, suffering other Nigerians. It's not good. The senators are talking of hate speech. They are even the promoter of the hate speech themselves. Hello?
I can hear you, Titus.
Yes. Even the senators are talking of hate speech. They are even the promoter of hate speech because with their bad governance in this country, people are bound to hear many things. We want to know other. There are even people instigating people in this country for their hate speech. But this country is not moving forward.
Thanks for calling me. Peter from Victoria Island says, will the people close to the corridors of power be prosecuted by this law when it's passed? Because they are the ones promoting hate speech, if there's any. A very good afternoon to you, Sandra. Good afternoon to you, Peter. Thank you so much for sending that across. Hate speech law being prepared to gag patriotic Nigerians. Certain Nigerians who are liars will be exonerated, especially in this dispensation. And this is a message from Michael. Michael is in Aghogho. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to WhatsApp now, where we've got so many more messages. My goodness. Everyone sent a message via WhatsApp today. Okay, so this one says, Sandra, once in a while, do Shakumaku for us. No, you're going to have to wait for Aghogho to come back to do that for you. We've got more messages here. Biodun says, Sandra, new agency for hate speech will create job for the unemployed. But what is the cause? Many are transferring aggression through these speeches because of lack of basic amenities, jobs, and truth from voted political, spiritual, and ethnic leaders. All right, Biodun, thanks for sending that across. This person is in support of the new law against hate speech because most Nigerians don't know how to use words carefully. We're just too gullible. Banning the supply of PMS from 25 kilometers to the border is not a welcome idea because it will inflict pains on the people that are living in the area. There should be a measure in place of monitoring any PMS in that axis. And this is Olarutimi in Surulere. More messages coming in. Solomon from Olodia Papa says, the hate speech law goes against our fundamental human right, freedom of speech. Everybody should be free to say whatever they want, and if such is approved in a country like ours, it will be abused by the agency themselves. Our politicians want to rip off every power of the people and be untouchable in all forms. Okay, that's the last message I can take because our final story brings us back to Lagos. Our final big three brings us back to Lagos, and it's a sad one. A young graduate waiting for his NYSC call-up letter was blinded by robbers who shot him as he drove a taxi. The man, Tomi Waziri, was driving on a Pombon bridge where robbers attacked his car at gunpoint. He tried to give them his phone, but they still shot him through the window. The pellets and shards of glass pierced his face, damaging his eyes, his nose, and his mouth. Now, this story is a reflection of a lot of things happening around us. You have a young man who's working hard to make it in life. Things are not easy for him. He has struggled, he has worked hard, he has gotten his degree, and it's a degree in physics. Smart boy. Maybe the next Einstein or the next Stephen Hawking. He has to work. He gets a job driving a taxi for his sister's husband. He puts it on a ride-hailing app. So many young Nigerians are doing that these days because there are no jobs. The gig economy, it's called. That's what we call it, the gig economy. So he's going about his business, doing honest work, and he's robbed at gunpoint. We talked about his robbers on Checkpoint yesterday. Gangs of Lagos. That's them. They too are on the streets like Tomi because of no jobs. But the difference between Tomi and them was education and orientation. Tomi got an education. They did not. He was trained to have an ambition for his life, and they were not. But when they met on a Pombon bridge, his education didn't matter. His ambition didn't matter. His work ethic didn't matter. All that mattered was that in our society, there are young men and young women with guns and no education. And they shot him right there in traffic. And they escaped. It was 8 p.m. People saw it happen. But they escaped. Now the police arrived. He said they arrived pretty quickly, 5 minutes after it happened. They took him to the hospital. There were delays at the first hospital that he went to, a public hospital. I won't say the name. When he was finally taken to another hospital for surgery, they told him it was too late to save his eyesight. They said if he had been treated earlier, his right eye could have been saved. But it wasn't. And now he's blind. How did we get to the point where at 8 p.m., a hard-working young man like Tomi Waziri can have his future snatched from him? What do we do to fix the gang problem? How do we catch the gang members active today and stop today's children from becoming the gang members of tomorrow? How do we get police back on the streets so that getting robbed in traffic stops being a normal thing? And how do we get our healthcare system to become more responsive to emergencies? How do we fix our society so it stops letting down people like Tomi Waziri? 01277 0993, 01277 1993, 2993 3993. Send me a WhatsApp message. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. 080 959 75805. I have Joshua on the phone. Joshua is in Ibejuleki. Hello, Joshua.
Hello. Sandra, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'm really so sad hearing what you just said on Nigeria, Sandra. I have a lot of information which I can share online, but I'm going to get across to you on Twitter for us to talk. Because this gang, Sandra, I'm going to tell you this with facts, Sandra. I have facts.
Okay.
Our security agencies, both the police, soldiers, civil defense, Navy, we all have cults members in there. So at times when these incidents are happening and people call the police for them to intervene, they tend to slow down when the operation is being done before they will come. And I'm going to get across to you on Twitter for me to share this information for you.
All right, Joshua.
Seriously.
Thank
you very much, ma'am.
Thanks for calling. Gabriel is in Ikoyi. Hello, Gabriel.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, one of our staff where I work, he suffered 2 weeks ago. He resumed work this morning. He entered one chance from Ikpaja area, headed down to Ikoyi here. He entered Sierra by 20 minutes to 6. Correctora. They put Christian music. The lady was thinking he was following a better people. Before you know, then turn inside Ikpaja, turn to the Oboh area. Beat this lady. Almost he have eye problem because he used glasses, break his glasses, wound his eye. He dropped him out somewhere. Then went to the police station later. The police said this is 11 persons who come and report the same one chance issue. Then the lady just resumed work this morning. I think it's a terrible thing we are facing in our country. I know people should be careful.
Yes, indeed, I agree with you, Gabriel. Thank you so much for calling to share your thoughts. We have Olayinka in Abulegba who says, creating an agency for hate speech is needless. That should be handled by existing agencies like Nigeria Police, Nigeria Retention Agency, Nigeria Broadcasting Corps, and some other relevant ones. Surely there are fueling stations before the 20-kilometer boundary in borders, so I support the ban. All right, thank you so much. Somebody else says, capital punishment seems to be the only thing that can contain this madness. Abe says, very sad. His eye issue should quickly be transferred abroad for final answer because our opticians may not be as perfect as the whites. They could do more to resuscitate than here. And this person said, this is very painful and is heartening to hear on a daily basis. This should be what our lawmakers and opportunist government officials should be concerned about, not busy about a bill that will make slaves of the masses forever in the name of hate speech. Annie is in Ota. Thank you so much, everybody who joined us today on The Big Three. Share your thoughts with me on Twitter, Ezekwesili. That's my Twitter handle. Or you can share via our official Twitter, nigeriainfo.fm. Riley Academy is up next. And after that, Community Report.
99.3 Nigeria Info.